off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pei.
And welcome. You're tuned in to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, NBC News, CNBC News, and NBC Sports Radio Station, AM 1050, FM 106.5, home to the Asian Oprah, number one talk in the IE. Thank you very much. And streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, iTunes, Audible, Amazon Music, TuneIn, Tiki Live, Rumble, Podchaser, Spreaker, Streaker, and more. Why so many places? Because I want to maximize my splatter zone for more hope and happiness, balancing out all the bad news out there. You're not going to hear anything that's going on in the headlines. Why? Because you can get it everywhere else. And if it bleeds, it leads. So I don't want you tuned in first thing in the morning saying, what's wrong with people? Instead, I want you to tune in here where I have topics and guests and co-hosts who help me with splattering and my Happy 88 mission, 88 million more happy people in the next 8 years. And as you can see, it's a Wednesday because it's time for Doctors in the House with myself and
Dr. Tiffanie Tate.
She's a U.S. Navy veteran, a published author, a retired OBGyn from Compton, California. She's a playwright, singer, poet, songwriter, and more. Dr. Tiffanie is a published author of many books, especially children's books. And her newest one is Money Matters. Please welcome back to my studio, my fabulous Wednesday co-host, Dr. Tiffanie Tate.
Always a pleasure, and happy Wednesday, people.
Happy Wednesday. She's back from her travels. Those of you who were with us last Wednesday knew that she actually was reporting live from Italia, which is, I just love the fact that technology and AI allow us to do broadcasting from wherever we are, especially since I'm off to the great white north, the country of my birth. Oh, Canada. And broadcasting from there for 2 weeks. Those of you who know my Chinese mom has Parkinson's. And so I go back regularly. And then I always have to combine business with pleasure. So I'll be speaking, doing some stand-up, all kinds of fun stuff while I'm there and broadcasting live. So please do free subscribe to my YouTube channel. Give me the finger, not that one, but this one. And especially on Wednesday when we reconnect on Doctors in the House. But as I started already, our morning blisscipline, good life habit, or taking a bite of my gratitude sandwich, which is top of the bun, things that we're grateful for. I just listed 2. And bottom of the bun, what are you grateful for inside of yourself, which we're modeling for you to do before you go to bed so you can sandwich your day in the most positive way. Dr. Tiffanie Tate, what are you grateful for?
I am grateful to be back at home. I know it is wonderful to travel the world, but like they said in The Wizard of Oz, there is no place like home, and there is no bed like home. And as I recover from jet lag, I am loving home. So I love my own bed.
Darling, I hear it. There's nothing that first, you know how I go on and on. I'm grateful for my first sip of coffee. I'm also grateful for my last tactile sensation of getting into the comforters and the mattress and just that feeling that we're fortunate to have. Not everybody has a roof over their head or a comfortable bed. So super grateful that we both have that.
Yes,
What else are you?
that's a blessing.
It is.
I am grateful for family and friends and the support and love that I receive from them because a lot of times we take it for granted that we have that support system. And as we look around, I think it's important to give, but it's also important to appreciate the support system that we do have. And it's something that I actually really do appreciate.
Beautiful. I am grateful that I live in Southern California where it never rains in. That's a lie. But I do love living in California. I'm grateful that I'm solar powered. So it's every morning, and I get to live on the beach, and so I get to see the ocean of abundance every day. And for that, I'm truly grateful. Last gratitude.
I am grateful. I do have a lot of friends who live, I guess, in the South in Tennessee. And with all of the tornadoes, I had some of my friends who were sleeping in their closets because of the bad weather. But I'm thankful that they are okay and they did not sustain any major damage during all of the major storms that traversed that area. So I am grateful that they are basically still safe.
Wow. Yeah. Yep. Um, Knowing that those who are in the middle of some challenging situations are always knowing who they are and that everything's going to be okay in the end. If it's not okay, it's not the end. But yeah, it's the anyways, I was going to diverge, but I won't. Let's go to the bottom of the pun, which is, what are you grateful for about yourself? What do you like about yourself? And I love it. We've got Mary, we got Mom T in the house. Hey, what about me, Mom T? You've got Dr. Tiffanie Tate there. What happened to me? you're you're
She's
you're
a little bit biased.
you're
That's okay.
adopted. You're adopted Chinese daughter. Hello. No, I love you, and I'm so glad that you're here this morning. And I definitely am going to join you the next time you go to a tennis thing. I didn't know that you were a tennis person. So let's see. I appreciate. Wait a minute. Where was I? I was
What
talking
I'm
about.
thankful for on the inside, but I'm also very grateful and thankful for my mom, T. I
There
love her.
you go. We're
Love her a
finishing
lot.
up the top of the bun. So, what do we like about ourselves? This is weight training. I do this every single morning on the show for the last 3 years because good mental health starts with self love, self approval, self care. And a lot of us don't do that. We look for love in all the wrong places. We're walking around with antenna going, who likes me on social media, literally. And it's a very dangerous formula to live with. If you can't approve of yourself, how the fork can you approve of anyone else? So that's why we do this. So, what do you like about yourself? Let's mull that over. Dr. Tiffanie, you start.
I like the fact that I can be forgiving, and some people think that I can be too forgiving,
Uh
and
huh.
that's probably true. I can be too forgiving to a fault, to a certain extent, and I'm learning not to be wall to wall carpet, and, but I do like the fact that I can be forgiving.
I appreciate that I can admit that when I am wrong. Doesn't happen often, the admitting part, but I'm glad that I can admit that I'm not always right. And that's a big thing because not from an egoic standpoint, but I grew up being punished if I was wrong. And so that's why it's so important for me to be right. And when I realized that being right does not mean you're being loved, that you can be loved and be wrong, that was the thing that began to shift for me, so that I'm not fighting to the death to be violently correct, that I can actually with grace say, you're right, I was wrong. And I do not like the smug look that people get when I say that, or they take out their recorder. But I'm I'm getting over it, and getting used to that. So I appreciate that about myself. Dr. Tiffanie.
I like the fact that I am flexing my boundaries. And I think that that is an important aspect of walking into our own personality and knowing when to say when. And there's nothing wrong with flexing your boundaries and standing strong and standing firm in your own convictions. And I think that that's very important, especially nowadays.
And I appreciate my ability to take a compliment. And Mom T just said, always grateful for you coming into our life, which is the family, large family of my fabulous co-host. And I love your family. And the appreciation part is, I didn't always take compliments very well. Another part of that, telling out loud part of it was, if I do a funny one, I would ask my husband, so don't, because he wouldn't compliment me unless I said, so how do I look? Or did you like the food, the dinner I just cooked you? And then he would say, yes, it was very good. And then I would say, but that doesn't count because I had to ask you for the compliment. So I'm getting better at actually just receiving and not fighting. Or if you get 99 compliments and one insult, I used to go and mull over that one insult, forgetting about the 99 compliments. So I'm better at that. Thank you for letting me use your comment, Mom T, to illustrate that point.
Excellent, excellent. I think it's really good when we can't always grow, because growth shows that everyone has potential and everyone does have potential. And that shows that we are dynamic and we are not computers and we are not AI.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One more. What do you like about yourself?
I like the fact that I am still growing, and I can admit that, and I am definitely far from perfect. And I like the fact that I can admit that I'm still growing. I
Mm,
know that I don't take compliments well.
mm,
I know that I look at people with a suspicious eye, and I think that they have ulterior motives, and I know that I am still growing. So I like the fact that I am still growing and that I have growth potential. So that is what I like about myself, that I have growth potential and I am still growing.
And you are beautiful. You really are, inside and out. And I hope you take that compliment. Thank you for joining us for breakfast, folks. I hope that you continue this good life habit, hashtag Blisscipline, for the next 28 days, with or without me on the show, because it's good for you. And Lord knows there's so much to wake up and be unhappy about. This way you can wake up and choose happiness. Thanks for joining us for breakfast. And now for the topic of the day. Everything is awesome. Dr. Tiffanie, what is the topic for today?
The topic for today is unfair situations, addressing them, identifying them, and dealing with them.
Mm,
Ba-dum-bum.
but and if you want fair, go to Pomona
They have good snacks there.
or Orange County. And for those of you not in California, that was an attempt at a joke. And because, fair, not fair, that fair, but the actual summer fair. And yeah,
With
it
snacks
is
and
a,
rides and all that good stuff.
yeah, yeah, exactly. That's not the fair we're talking about. We're talking about unfair situations And I love this topic because my one thing that I'm really working on, and it's probably the hardest thing I've ever done, is not to get my panties in a bundle and activate my piss offedness when people come at me unfairly. Like if I've done something to you, then I deserve to have whatever you come back at me with because I started it. I did something that activated that response. But there's nothing that pushes my buttons more than if I'm nice to you or if I have not done you, I don't even know you, and then you come at me. That's my definition of unfair. So I have this giant unfair button here that if you activate it, it's like unfair, unfair, unfair. Like that was easy opposite button. And I'll get like really righteously indignant has been my go-to for unfair situations, which I may have a right to do that and react that way, but it certainly is not good for me. It doesn't feel good. It activates all kinds of stuff in my chemical factory that are not good for my physical health. So, but that's getting into solution. But that's my take on it. Why did you pick this topic, Dr. Tiffanie?
Well, I believe that there is a wavelength that you can address this topic on because you have platonic and then you have intimate. And it depends on what wavelength you fall on. Because if you meet a random stranger, it may not affect you as much as someone who you are intimate with. And when I mean intimate, it could be your partner, it could be your children, it could be just a regular family member, or it could be someone at your job, it could be someone at your school, or it could be just someone that you work with, or it could be your best friend. So there are different wavelengths depending on the relationship you have with the person. So the predicament, the dilemma, the crisis, or the catastrophic wavelength in which the fairness or lack thereof may affect you depends on the quality of the relationship that you have with that person. So say for instance, you're driving down the street and you pull into a parking lot to get a spot. You've been waiting, say at Costco for this spot.
Mm.
Someone cuts you off. Yeah, that's fair. Your pissed offness, your meter, it ticks up there, but this is a random stranger. It may affect you differently versus someone who you loaned money to. They say they're going to pay you back and they don't. But because you know them, you cherish them, and you had a bond with them, and they broke that bond. And that's definitely unfair. But then they're out there shopping with the money that they said they owe you. So yeah,
Mm.
that's unfair, but how you feel is a little bit different. So the predicament or the dilemma or the level of crisis is completely different. Or you have an intimate partner and they do something and that you deem it unfair. It affects you differently than somebody you just met. So all these different levels of what's going on will necessarily not affect you the same.
Great. So different degrees of unfairness is things that
Mhm.
you're talking about. Different kinds of relationships in which you can experience unfairness or that feeling that you've been taken advantage of. So
Mhm.
that's our topic today. If you have any situations, any solutions, any comments, please do. I see eyeballs in the studio. So if you're not driving and tuned in on the AM 1050 FM 106 side of KCAA, NBC News Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind, then when you land, please do come and join us on my YouTube TV channel. That I forgot to say, I'm grateful. We're almost at 330,000 views, Dr. Tiffanie. We're at 329,000 something, and very grateful for that. But we'd love to interact with you. We'd love to live your life out loud, as we both do. As you can tell, we keep it real here. First half of the show, we want to know, what is keeping you from choosing happiness. And certainly this reaction to unfairness is one that will keep us unhappy. So let's see. The money thing. Let's talk about the money thing, because that one is a big one. I've heard it 3 times in the last 2 days. Yeah. So obviously it's something to talk about. So when people ask you, especially if they are in your family, to ask to borrow money. I had someone ask to borrow money who wasn't in my bio family, but they were in my spiritual center family. And she asked to borrow money, and she said that she was having some challenges, health challenges and everything. And I had an abundance at the time. And so this is before the divorce, but I lent her money, and then turned around and found out that she went to, took a flight and went to her cousin's wedding in Europe.
It wasn't me.
Yes, it wasn't Dr. Tiffany, who just came back from Europe for a wedding. No. This was probably many years ago. And I can remember saying, wow, like one is how do people feel like that's okay? Right? I felt taken advantage of, and then to make it worse, she didn't offer to pay it back. I had to say something like 3 months later and say, hey, and I had to lie. I had to say, I'm kind of in a situation where I need that money back, right? Wasn't true, but it was eating me up to know that she had used this money not for medical that I thought she did, but for a fun trip to see her cousin's wedding, in Europe. So those let's go back. There's some unspoken rules around fairness and unfairness.
Mm-hmm.
So who makes the rules that, and I'm thinking about even today, I do executive coaching, and business leaders will come and say, how do I deal with this younger population at work who think that they can disrespect me, or they are mad that they're not getting paid as much as people who have paid their dues. Like, they don't feel like they need to pay their dues to get to that level where other people are at. And that's unfair.
Yes, the workplace. That's always special. And I think when you're dealing with fairness in the workplace, to deal with what's fair and unfair, number one, I think it's always important to acknowledge people's feelings, because a lot of times we want to just dismiss how people feel. And when you dismiss how people feel, you negate the problem. And when you negate the problem, you're not addressing it. And when you don't address it, I think that causes more issues. Number one, we always have to validate people's feelings, even if we don't agree with them. You want to validate and you want to educate. And when you educate, you're addressing the issue. You say, okay, I understand how you feel, but let's talk about it, because communication is always key. Because once you interrupt the lines of communication, neither one of you are going to get to the root cause of the problem. I think with the current generational breakdown, um, the current generation, there's a sense of entitlement, but we can't go into how they were raised. That's a whole nother problem. And how the school system coddled them and gave everybody an award regardless of their participation. That's a whole nother issue. But it comes down to, you have to work towards the goals of the company and letting them know what the expectations of the company are, saying, I understand how you feel, but these are the company's expectations, and just educating them as to what's required and saying, okay, this is Susie. Susie or Ben makes X, Y, and Z because they've worked here for so long. You just started. You don't have even though you have the knowledge and you have the degree, they also have the knowledge and the degree, but they've worked longer. So they have seniority. You don't have seniority. You have to work to get the seniority. Once you have the seniority, then you can make that amount, because they don't have the knowledge behind that. They just know that they're not getting the compensation. And that's where the education comes in. All they know is that it's not fair in their mind because they don't have the knowledge. And that's where the education comes in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I just looked up because I love seeing what my assistant Google has up her sleeve. And this whole idea of what is fair and unfair, it's so subjective, more so the more diverse we are. And hopefully we stay that way in our country. But, it's kind of like the definition of respect in different countries. Respect is a different thing. We as Americans have a definition of respect in personal space as, 6 to 9 inches. In some Middle Eastern countries, respect is much closer than that shown. And so that difference is, subjective. So you could say, it's a like a cousin of fairness. Another example is, you know, um, to be respectful with money in the Korean culture is to take your change and put it on the counter and not in your hand. But in the African American community, to not put it in your hand could be uh, um, interpreted as disrespectful, because you don't want to touch me. So that difference, that subjective difference, this actually came out of a study after, not George Floyd, but before that, but looking at, what do we call it? Unintentional disrespect, or subjective disrespect, or this is also subjective unfairness. What you think is fair may not be seen as unfair or fair by another person. So interrupting someone in some cultures, that's not unfair. Lying is if you say to me something and I say to you, Dr. Tiffanie, I don't understand that. That's an insult. And it's worse in Japan to say, I don't understand you, than to lie and say, I understand you when I don't, because it's such an insult to say you don't understand the speaker. So that is a subjective, right, interpretation of what the rules are.
Absolutely. And I think it's important to understand, why do people allow themselves to be treated unfairly. And sometimes it can stem from various factors. It can be due to low self-esteem, past experiences, codependency, unconscious beliefs about your self-worth, and the inability to recognize different patterns and the inability to prioritize self. And so as we reevaluate how we look at ourselves, we can reevaluate how people treat us. And that's why I said a lot of times it is about communication and education, especially in the workplace and especially in relationships. And as you had to deal with your friend, you had to communicate with her because she was kind of dismissive with the fact that she owed you money. A lot of times when people owe you money, they know they owe you money. They just either don't care or they have that laissez-faire attitude. Because I know if I owe somebody money, I'm going to be like, okay, I need to pay her back. Let me do that as soon as possible. So basically, I try not to have to owe anybody money. I try to keep an emergency savings, which is something that everybody needs to do. And they need to get my book, Money Matters. It's not just for children, it's for adults. That's a side note. But that everyone should really look at what we think about as being fair when we deal with our children, when we deal with our family members, and even in our interpersonal relationships with our spouses or with our partners.
Interesting. I there's just so much to pontificate about and to think about. And Dr. Tiffany is doing a great job as usual, supplying lots of great examples of things to go on. We're going to have to take a quick break right now to news, traffic, weather, and a word from our sponsor. When we come back, I just found this really great thing that popped up. 11 examples of unfair situations in life that you need to accept. So I'm interested in how Dr. Tiffany is going to respond to those. Don't go away. We will be right back. Chuck Woolery, may you rest in peace, would say, we'll be back in 2 and 2. Of course, I'm going to say peace in, peace out. Don't go away. We'll be right back with Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show, and Doctors in the House with myself and
Dr. Tiffanie Tate.
We'll be right back. Don't go away.
Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pei.
Hi, my name is Dr. Tiffanie Tate, and you can check out my webpage at www.drtiffanitate.com. On my site, you will find information about the book, Bad Touching. It teaches children about how to protect themselves about inappropriate touching. It is the story about two sisters, Lily and Linda, who learn how to protect themselves while sitting through an assembly at school. The next book is Little Engine Mia Sings. It is also available as an audiobook. This story is about a little train that gets bullied on the playground. The story is about friendship, and it teaches children about bullying and how to speak up and speak out. The last story is called Money Matters. It is a story about three brothers who find a $100 bill on the way home from the park. Their mother teaches them about saving, tithing, and investing. It is a story that's helpful for kids as well as adults. Pick these books up today on my site, as well as Barnes & Noble and Amazon. You will not be disappointed.
Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pei.
Hello, it's still me, Dr.
It's
Tiffany
still
Tate.
you. Welcome back. You're tuned in to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get bounced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, NBC News Radio, home to the Asian Oprah, and number one talk in the IE. Thank you very much. And this is consecutive week number 675. Tuning into you with more hope and happiness. And since it is Wednesday, it is time for Doctors in the House with myself
Dr. Tiffany Tate.
and so loving the hearts that just came in and knowing that you are here because I'm on a happy 88 mission. Dr. Tiffanie Tate is helping me with 88 million more happy people in the next 8 years with topics that address, and we can put the moose on the table, my Canadian version of talking about the elephant in the room. Unfair situations is the topic for today that Dr. Tiffany has chosen so that we can look at some solutions. If you are right now sitting and with this acidic feeling about an unfair situation that you're in and it is eating you up, then guess what? We have some ways in which you can get out of that. And it might be one of these 11 examples. I'm gonna just read them off because the article is long, but I want you to do this. If you think that it is unfair, these situations, I want you to go like this, nod your head, and if you don't think it is, go like this, which is shake your head. So if you're in a public place, don't do it. People will think you're crazy. But these are apparently things that are unfair in life that we should be accepting.
I don't
That
know
you're
if I will accept it. I think I read the article, but go ahead.
good. Okay. One, that you're born into poverty. Two, that there's a lottery of genetics, beauty, health, and intelligence. Some people have more or less of it. Nepotism and favoritism. And I actually do talk about this in organizations where I do tell them that it just happens in every organization. They want to move to somewhere else. There's only one organization that does not have favoritism. Do you want to know what it is?
What?
The cemetery. Where there are no people, there is no favoritism. Number 4, prejudice and discrimination is just going to happen no matter what. Glass ceilings in careers is just going to happen. The imbalance of love, some people are just not going to be into you, and you're not going to be into them. Toxic relationships.
Let's go back. Let's go back to number 1. So
Okay, let me finish them and then we'll go back.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 7, toxic relationships and emotional manipulation. It just is going to happen.
Yeah.
The geography lottery, opportunities based on location. Some locations are just going to be better than others. Access to quality education. Some people are just going to have easier access. Wealth and legal outcomes. Not all judgments are going to be fair. As my lawyer said to my judge, but Your Honor, it's not fair that she should have to pay so much money to her husband. And the judge looked at me and said, well, you wanted equal rights. Number 11, last one, unreported crimes and injustices. So there's just it's not ever going to be fair in the world because every injustice cannot be dealt with or remedied. So this is a fighting article, right? 11 unfair situations in life. Going back to the first one, Dr. Tiffany, born into poverty. Is it fair? It is unfair that some people are just born into poverty.
That is a reality, but I don't think we should have to accept it.
Okay. I agree. I think it's a reality. And I will even go further to say that in all 11 situations, no matter how unfair it is, and no matter how it may hurt or feel like crap or shiitake, that
Mhm.
everything happens for my divine and best good. So
Yep.
if any of those things applies to you and you're feeling sorry for yourself, that they do apply to you. My challenge to you is, does feeling sorry for it feel good? No. And is it possible that all those situations actually helped chisel you into the magnificent person that you are? And if you don't feel magnificent, maybe allowing yourself to see what has come out of that horrible situation that's unfair is a
Mhm.
better way to put glasses on to look at your past.
And the reason I didn't pick that article is because I thought it was a bowl of shiitake, because it said these are things that you just have to accept. And I am the walking, talking example of why you should not accept it, because based on statistics, I should not be where I am because I am the child of two parents who were addicted to or who had to battle drugs. And if it wasn't for my mom T, who took me in at the age of 2, even statistically speaking, I should be on drugs or alcohol, statistically speaking, because that's what my parents, my biological parents, struggled with. And that's not what my reality is. I was a board certified OBGYN, but for my accident, but I still sit here before you as a former surgeon, as an officer of the United States Navy, as an author, and as a podcaster. So, statistically speaking, I have broken through that glass ceiling and I am not in poverty. So, I have shattered those statistics that this author that author says I needed to accept. And that is why, even though after I read that article, I was like, no, I'm gonna toss this out like like a bowl of crap, like the bowl of crap that I felt it was.
And of course, her co-host, producer, brings up that article because it was it's interesting. It is a very interesting concept of that it is those are things that everybody will agree that are unfair, but the acceptance part of it is absolutely I agree with you. Shiitake. It's a bowl of shiitake,
Mhm.
and it is nothing. It's not just not acceptance, but it's like, okay, so you can get mad at it under sea level and rail against it and use it as an excuse to have a crappy life, and then at sea level you can accept it and just accept that, well, I just am never going to be anything because I've had a crappy whatever, right? But then what I just said above that was, no, it's not only not acceptance, there is a value to having some of these things happen to you because it puts you in a situation that you are so skilled to be able to write books like Dr. Tiffany, or speak like Dr. Tiffany and I, and write books myself too. The ability for us to be mouthpieces and examples of, no, you don't have. Not only do you not have to accept them, you can use them to show that you can overcome any of those things. So that's a key, and I'm glad I brought it up even though you didn't want to, because the illustration of that is brilliant. And here's a hand. That's for you, Dr. Tiffany.
Thank you.
And
I gladly accept it.
yes, because yes, it is true. And you got hearts and thumbs up. People gave us the finger on that point, this finger. And let's see, Marvin. Oh, wow. Look at this. He tuned in live from Uganda, Africa. Very touched and proud of you. So, hello. This is a global show, but global concept that it doesn't matter. And there are a plethora of folks in India and Africa and in China who are born into, we can't even imagine. Slumdog Millionaire is a great movie to give you a sense of, the kind of comfort privilege we have here that people don't have there. Do people allow their circumstances to keep them in and accept the unfair things that they were born into? Absolutely not. And that's a choice. It is something that you can choose to either accept or pull your big girl panties up and do what Dr. Tiffany has done. Do what I've done. I had every right. It was unfair. This is a personal example. It was so unfair that I grew up with a mom that not only didn't say you're so beautiful, because isn't that what is normal? A mom is your biggest cheerleader for you're beautiful. They think you're beautiful. I had a mom who told me I was fat and ugly almost every day. That's not fair. How did I get born into a family, into a home where the mom was not my biggest fan? That's so unfair. And I could spend the rest of my life marinating or ruinating in that reality. She charged me money for helping me move my stuff to college.
Oh,
What
wow.
mother does that? Right? She
Mhm.
she she asked me to buy a short mink coat for Christmas as my Christmas present instead of it being $1,000 because it was Christmas and I'm her daughter. It was only $500. So I was born in a very unfair, and I'm not even going to talk about the physical abuse. That is unfair. But what good does it do me to spend the rest of my life stomping my foot and saying, that's unfair? That's unfair. That was really unfair. And because of that, I'm never going to be normal. I'm never going to be able to approve of I'm never going to be able to do anything. That's bullshit hockey. I now choose to say that she did the best that she could. She was also not treated very well by her mom. Her mom told her when she was born that she wished she would have aborted her.
Hmm.
Okay. And she actually helped chisel me into who I am now. I am a I am a living, walking example, like Dr. Tiffany, of beating the odds of someone who was made fun of not only in the home but outside, because I was born in a very white Canadian German town called a chunk, which is a fat chink, which is not a great word, and I can use it because it was used on me. But that's chiseling. Do I regret it? Am I mad about it? 88% of the time, I'm not. Still stings a little bit sometimes because it was not fun, but I appreciate literally what has come out of that. I'm compassionate, I'm resilient, I'm determined, I am one of a kind, wonderful. I'm 88% fabulous. 12% of the time I step into it. I have a big mouth that does good most of the time. And that level of not acceptance, but taking shiitake and using it as fertilizer to grow me, that's what we want you to do.
Absolutely. And I think the fact that you can take lemons and make lemonade is key. And whenever you have pain and you can use it for power is a beautiful thing, because a lot of times when before a butterfly becomes a butterfly, it has to spin the cocoon and be in that darkness. And we don't know what we're going to become as we endure that darkness. But a lot of times, if we endure that moment of pain and we endure that moment of suffering, we can blossom into something beautiful. We just have to have patience and perseverance. And a lot of times in life, we just have to push and we just have to persevere. And as long as we continue and we wait until tomorrow, we will endure and we will continue. And there was a great quote that I found, and it was by Henry Ford. And it says, when everything seems to be going against you, remember that the airplane takes off against the wind, not with it. And I thought that that was profound. So I want to say it again so that you catch it. When everything seems to be going against you, remember that the airplane takes off against the wind, not with it. And that's a quote by Henry Ford. So a lot of times we see resistance against us. So a lot of times when I pick this topic, we see unfair situations, whether it be in our life, whether it be in love, whether it be at work, as a significant problem for us. But it can be used as an opportunity for us to grow. And that was one of my gratitudes that I said this morning, is that I am still growing. And I hope that you too can continue to grow.
Absolutely. Well said. Um, things could be unfair. I mean, and it goes to something that I've been talking about, turning up the volume on personal mastery. This is the course I taught last fall at UCLA, where you can either choose to stay on the side of reaction, which is this is unfair, right? Or you can choose to um, look for the value in the unfairness. This is a skill. Is it possible that this situation is developing some quality, gift, or talent in me from the unfairness? Okay, so you could turn on the TV, which I don't do, don't have a TV, don't want to know what's in the headlines first thing in the morning because like I said, it's almost negative. But today, like these days, with what's going on in the news, you can say it's so unfair that um, laws being put down, going backwards on abortion, on gay marriages, on um, uh, these unilateral crazy decisions on tariffs,
And
uh,
education.
education, all of these things, and say this is so unfair. This is so unfair. And you can spend the whole day railing against, picking up the phone, talking to people, getting madder. That reaction to unfair, it is unfair. But your reaction to unfair is what we're talking about here. Because if you spend the entire day doing that, and they're spending a month doing that, getting into these meaningless arguments online, on social media, in person, in line, and what good does that do? It doesn't do any good at all. In fact, that time you're spending to do that, you are losing the time to take care of other people, to take care of yourself, to have fun, to laugh, all of that. It's not helping. We are saying, I think, if I speak for you, Dr. Tiffanie, that in those situations where you deem it unfair, your reaction to that unfairness, is it asking you, okay, is there something that I can do about this situation that will make a difference? That's the question for me always. Will it make a difference in a positive way? Right? Then do it. There's plenty of organizations doing work on all of those situations that I just talked about. That's my final word. Dr. Tiffanie, what's your final word?
My final word is that life is going to sometimes be unfair. Situations will sometimes be unfair. The issue will be how you deal with the unfairness. You don't have to let it pull you down. You can always address the situation, find out more information about it, not let it change your life, and remember, digest it, get educated about it, figure out how to tackle it, and figure out how to overcome it, because you don't have to let anything hold you down. You can always rebound as long as there is a tomorrow. And as long as there's a tomorrow, even if you get knocked down, you can get back up again, because that's what perseverance is about. And that is what life is about. Energizing and continuing to keep living and to keep going. I believe in you, because if I can do it, you can do it too.
Fabulous. Unfairness, not a bad thing. I hope you hear that from both of us this morning. Thanks for joining us, Marvin from Uganda, Africa. Did you know, Dr. Tiffanie, his sister has the same name? So that's kind of cool. And he has some people that have also overcome the odds. I would say 88% of the 8 billion people on the planet have overcome odds. The whole idea that life is pain-free, that we're supposed to not have bad things happen, why do bad things happen to good people? Because bad things happen all the time, but more good happens than bad. So if we can use the bad to make ourselves better and then focus on the good and make that a highlight, then, honey, you're going to have a fabulous, happy life.
And hello to Jerry, who is in the cashew gallery.
Oh, Jerry, she's saying amen or a women. And Mary, Mom T, amen, amen. She doubled that. A woman, I'll triple that. And thanks so much. What a fun show today was. Thanks for joining us. It's all about balance. Peace in, peace out. World peace through inner peace. And do you like my thing? This is from Morocco.
I do. It looks fabulous.
Africa. Yeah, I wore it, just got fixed, and I wore it but accidentally, not accidentally. Always pleasure having you in studio, Dr. Tiffanie, and all of your beautiful supporters. And welcome to Uganda, Africa. I just love this ability to come at you and talk about things that matter. Thanks for joining us today. Tomorrow is Throwback Thursdays. Friday is Straight Talk with myself and James Hawthorne. Dr. Tiffanie, take us out.
Now go and have the best day ever.
Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pei.